Hello, this is the TradeSite US Stocks Futures and Forex Market Preview for the week beginning Sunday, December 4th, ending Friday the 9th, 2022. We had a good trading week, a little bit slow actually, except for the one big day that was out of the blue. We've got 3 full weeks left, well, 2 full weeks and a decent week, and then the Christmas holiday obviously will slow us down. Options expiration is going to be not this week, but the one after. Things to know about this week, by the way, is that the futures quarterly contract roll will occur between Thursday and Friday. So we'll be switching from the December contract to next March's contract. That'll affect the levels and usually slows the market down a little bit overnight as they readjust. We have made the transition to NinjaTrader completely, so this will be the first preview I've done all on the NinjaTrader platform. So made some tweaks into what we're going to show you here. Hopefully it enlightens everybody. Here's the dollar index daily chart. Not much here, obviously. Pulled back late in the week, just a tad. The pound dollar heading up, obviously. No signals, no real breakout points per se. I guess that 2400 area just under it is kind of important. Euro dollar, again, not much here. It's the inverse of the dollar index. Pound yen. This thing, look at this. This has been so flat all year except for the one dip in September. I should also point out, if we do the 10-minute charts, the week is, oh, I'm sorry, I made one mistake already. Look at that. Boom, boom. Here's the week in the pound dollar, and high to low for the week. It's about 400 pips. So there was some action there. We had a couple of green days. Even got to carry a trade over. But it is what it is. In terms of the stock market, here's a look at the ES front month futures contract. This is the daily chart of the broad market in futures form. 11 candles up on the seeker. So, 2 more days up, we could get a 13 sell signal on the daily. We're going to pay attention to that. Especially it's going to be tucked up against that green static trend line up there around 40, just under 4,200, most likely. So that's usually an interesting reversal point in the market. Let's look at the S&P 500 cash, also 11 candles up as it should be, and pretty much the same. Okay, NASDAQ 100 hasn't really bounced as much off the lows. Never quite got the 13 buy signal because of the qualifier. That asterisk could have been a 13, and that actually was the turning point. But we weren't below the 8, so you get the asterisk instead of the 13 there. So technically, we could still get a 13 if we don't recycle. Russell 2000, not much here. I mean, honestly, we didn't move that far this week, even with the big up day. It is what it is. Crude oil sitting at $79.98, so just barely under 80 bucks. Got down to 74 at one point. Seeing lower prices at the pump for sure. Gold sitting at 1809, up a bit off the lows. So gold, interestingly, starting to move up now that rates have already pretty much been pushed higher. Let's look at some of the other, this is what I call more the internal stuff, the things that affect the market. Here's Bitcoin sitting back up almost at 17,000. TLT, the 20-year bond ETF daily chart, you can see here, rallied a bit, so bonds up, rates down in theory, well off the lows here now. The VIX closes down at 1906. That's the lowest close since back in April briefly, and then anything below about 18, and we're going to be almost at the lows of the year on the VIX. Advanced decline ratio on the NASDAQ. This chart's a little different now on Ninja the way I'm showing it. You can see the 10-day moving average is about plus 287, and we closed Friday just slightly positive. The trend 10-day moving average also here, and then the blue line is that 0.85 level. And remember, whenever we get a close under that, on the 10-day moving average under the 0.85 level, so the light line is the actual daily numbers. The orangish line is the 10-day moving average. It's sitting at 1.05, so that's not really a signal. We did close at 0.91 on Friday. Anytime you get to close below that blue line, that 0.85, that's usually a sell signal on the broad market. In terms of week's inter-week action, here's the ES 10-minute candles. So you can see the prior Friday far off to the left, kind of gapped down and pushed lower. Tuesday was just completely dead. a little move and then dead. Wednesday was dead until Powell said something that made people think maybe rates were going to calm down a bit and not be raised as much as originally thought, and certainly not at the pace they have been, and that spiked the market to the big rally. And then Thursday we tried to continue, pulled back, and just dead flat again, and Friday gapped down, made our way back to fill the gaps, and that's about it. For the week, you're up about 35 points on the S&P. NASDAQ 100, big rally day again on Wednesday. That was up 500 or whatever that was, huge day. But in the end, we're up 100 and call it 200 points on the NASDAQ for the week is all it is. So it wasn't that stunning even with that big up day because we were down first. Let's go through some of the major charts. So Apple, not really a pattern here that I would be focused on. Amazon, also just kind of sitting near the lows still. Meta, this one's kind of come off the bottom with the 13 buy signal back at the beginning of November. Google, come off the bottom quite a bit actually, a 13 buy signal it had. Goldman Sachs, this thing's been up high and then just kind of dead flat for the week. Netflix made new highs for the recent period. Tesla, hanging near the lows, but it did bounce off the lows. Nvidia, kind of mid-range for the last 6 months. And Zoom, not much here either. Took a couple of stocks out we usually show, like Peloton, because I don't feel like that really matters right now at this point. In terms of economic data coming out this week, we've got final services PMI and ISM services PMI numbers, factory orders Monday morning here in the U.S. We've got trade balance. That's one of our big three each month, so we'll be half size and Forex going into Tuesday morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. That's the only data point here in the U.S. on Tuesday. Wednesday, revised unit labor costs and non-farm productivity. Got a rate announcement out of Canada. Crude oil inventories here in the U.S. at 10:30. Consumer credit at 3. Thursday, we've got weekly initial and continuing jobless claims numbers. Natty gas. And then on Friday, we've got preliminary University of Michigan sentiment for December and the final wholesale inventories, along with PPI, which PPI matters a little more right now than usual because of the inflationary issues. So it'll be interesting to see what we get. But again, remember, we got that futures quarterly contract roll Thursday to Friday. That usually slows things down a bit for Friday especially. And other than that, hopefully we get a good start to the week and find some stuff going on. Charts as usual brought to you by Now Ninja Trader. Woohoo! If you have any questions, contact us and we will help you out.